All right, ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be a weekend without coverage here from one of our favorite wrestling companies around, and that is Wrestling Championship Entertainment, as they're moving one step closer to luck of the draw here in a very, very short amount of time. And we're going to have one, maybe the match that I'm most intrigued of, that is for the Interstate Openweight Championship. And two participants here that certainly are no strangers to each other, and certainly they had some of the biggest feuds, not just in WCE, but all of professional wrestling here over the past year. And we're talking about our guest who certainly need no further introductions, but we're going to give it to him anyway. So, with wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one, the Sports Show. Pro wrestling stars here from Wrestling Championship Entertainment. That is the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, and James Marshall, a.k.a. KATALYST. Gentlemen, how are ya?
Doing good, Reverend. Always enjoy your introductions. They're so full of energy.
All right. Well, certainly, Mr. Catalyst, as your shirt may say, from the band that used to famously sing it on the first song of Appetite for Destruction, welcome to the jungle tonight, my friend.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Glad to be here, as always.
All right. Absolutely. Well, certainly, you gentlemen obviously are going to be a part of, I think, one of the bigger matches, not just of this month, but maybe of all of professional wrestling here for this Interstate Openweight Championship. Certainly, you are no strangers to each other, and I'm going to go first with Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah. Obviously, I see that Vector logo here that has been a huge talk of everybody here in WC and professional wrestling, and set the tables for us, the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, and what we can expect coming up here very soon at Luck of the Draw for that Interstate Openweight Championship, where you're going to be one of the three participants against KATALYST and Darkfire.
About 17 years was it last time we checked, right?
We've been counting. Certainly, yeah. It could be even longer than that now.
Luck of the Draw is going to be the biggest match in my career. Hell, it's going to be the biggest match in Darkfire's career. It's going to be the biggest match in KATALYST's career, because the three of us are going to go to battle, go to war to crown a new Interstate Openweight champion. And the beautiful thing about it is we're going to leave no doubt at the end of that match, because it's not sudden death. It's not I can pin Darkfire and I win. KATALYST can pin Darkfire, he wins. Or Darkfire can pin one of us and he wins. It's elimination. That means that two people have to be pinned or submitted in order for one person to win. And that's perfect, because we don't want there to be doubt at all. And like I said, we've been counting. It's about over 17 years now since I've held a major title. I'm hungry. I want it. And now I've got all the advantages I need to make sure I get it.
I want to ask you a follow-up question before I get to certainly KATALYST here. I kind of feel like, Nicholas Crenson, that you're starting to feel that talk about 17 years. We've spoken about it on several of the last shows we've had here for WCE coverage as we get ready for Luck of the Draw. But now I'm seeing for the first time, Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, that it's dawning on you. It's weighing on you that you have to get the job done here. You have to walk away with this championship, because 17 years with a major championship. We've joked about it, but it is no joke. It ain't no joke, as Eric B. and Rakim famously sang many, many years ago. You think about in professional sports, teams with a playoff drought, or longest years without a championship. You're in that category. I'm feeling for the first time, Nicholas Crenson, that you're feeling it and you're certainly thinking about this to get the job done here, coming up here very soon at Luck of the Draw.
That is indeed true, Reverend, because honestly, I've always felt that pressure ever since I won my first title, and then I had to give it up and not even lose the title, not even like 4 weeks into having that. I felt this pressure of, well, you got there once. What's stopping you from getting there again? And it's kind of this old mentality. Famously, somebody once said that one problem with wrestlers is that they sometimes get into their own head, and I'll admit that I've gotten into my own head as of late for the longest time. And yes, I am feeling that pressure. And no, I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk, especially with Catalyst in the ring with me. Catalyst, James Marshall, whatever version I'm facing, Catalyst, you are a formidable opponent, and you are one of my toughest opponents yet. But remember, I have put your shoulders to the mat multiple occasions. I just haven't gotten the job done. This time, I'm more motivated than ever to do so.
All right, let me ask Catalyst the question now, because obviously we heard from Nicholas Crenson. Certainly, we've heard all the talk about him in 17 years. But I'm going to say something here that I didn't expect to say, Catalyst, and tell me your thoughts on this, because we've heard all over the past several weeks on Sportswire about Nicholas Crenson and his championship drought. Darkfire's kind of come here, and everybody's kind of looking at Darkfire as kind of the guy. And we've seen with Crenson and Darkfire how they've kind of gone back and forth at it, whether it's on social media, outside WC. But I think right way that this is actually positioned for you to reclaim this championship, because you're kind of, it looks like, I think some might argue, could swoop right in here and reclaim a championship that you certainly know better than anybody in WCE.
Yeah, it's really good holding that belt, because you're not only holding the belt because it's a championship. It's basically our flagship of wrestling in Wisconsin.
Emotional there a little bit. Emotional there with about claiming that championship. There, you seem a little bit emotional.
Yeah, it's like one of the major titles I ever held in my career. The only belt I ever held in my career.
So it means a lot to you to be the Interstate Openweight champion. It meant a lot to you to carry that flag, because in some ways you were the guy. Now, Craven Rage, everybody talked about him. He's the Rage. But you were the guy that everybody wanted to show their skills against. You were the guy that was almost the floor general out there in the ring. So I would say in a lot of ways you might have been the measuring stick to everybody in that locker room, and especially Nicholas Crenson and Darkfire, who you're going to see here in a couple of weeks at Luck of the Draw.
Yeah, me, Catalyst, I do things honorably, cleanly in every match. As for James Marshall, hate to refer to that person as a third person, kind of hard to explain. He does whatever it takes to get the job done, which is dirty. We all know that. But Crenson, be thankful that you're not facing James Marshall, who is unhinged. You know that damn well. Just be thankful you're facing me, because at least I know restraint.
And I would even say, as a follow-up there, Catalyst, that James Marshall is, in a way, responsible for the Nicholas Crenson that we see right now. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment, no?
Yeah, it's a really fair assessment, and he actually said that he's feeling remorseful and sorry for that. If I remember correctly.
I remember very correctly, and I want to get to a few comments first before I go into Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah. Skulls here, so I might ask you a thought or two on Skulls. The Soul Hunter here from the EWF says, hello, WCE. So certainly Skulls is out there plotting. He's on the warpath as always. Adonis Felios, who's certainly a champion out in AIW. We're going to see him in the ring undoubtedly at Luck of the Draw. Says evening to everybody. And Tyler Ark, evening at Nicholas Crenson, but no evening to Catalyst, so I don't know what's up with that. But, I mean, how does that make you feel, though, Nicholas Crenson, that in a lot of ways, James Marshall really is responsible for who you are right now, rather than the character we first got to know on Sportswire Radio last summer?
There's a famous quote from the movie The Usual Suspects. What's that phrase? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he doesn't exist. See, James Marshall, kind of brought this out of me, but I've always been a vindictive SOB who just loves to hurt people and only cares about himself. So he doesn't really have to feel remorse. That's not even necessary. The thing that I want to point out, though, is Catalyst, you do things honorably, and that's wonderful. That is great for you, good for you. You want to take the high road. That might not fit well for you when it comes to this three-way, because honorably doesn't get you the championship, and I am not going to do things honorably. I am going to take every shortcut possible to become champion. And by the end of the day, sometimes if you want to win, you got to let a little bit of that monster out of you.
All right, but some would say, Nicholas Crenson, that this is an elimination match. And maybe in a way, this could play right into the hands of Catalyst, because Darkfire, certainly over the past few months, you and him have been no strangers to each other. And there's always that possibility of Darkfire lurking, waiting in the wings. And he would certainly take a lot of pleasure, at the very least, making sure that that championship drought continues.
Well, you do have a good point there, but I look at it like this. Darkfire, sadly, as much as he has improved himself over the past year, as much as he has shown that he does have a bit of, pun intended, fire inside his heart to be a champion, he's not even a threat in this match.
Okay. All right. Well, you might be so sure of that. But Catalyst, I think, again, the stipulation of an elimination match kind of favors you, because, again, you seem tonight cool and collected, calm, at ease. Nicholas Crenson, these past several months on Sportswire, it's been a who's who that he's been involved with. Certainly Darkfire, we've seen back and forth with Craven Rage. Skulls has even interfered on a stream with him. I mean, we're starting to see things right now. Zero Deus has certainly had some thoughts about Nicholas Crenson. Everybody's talking about Crenson. But meanwhile, you're calm, cool, collected, reserved. You've been in these big matches. You know what to do. And it seems to me maybe this elimination match stipulation and what we've heard so far from Nicholas Crenson tonight and over the past several months could very well be advantage you.
Yeah, I always try to keep a narrow mind and just focus on what's ahead of me, and that's the Interstate Openweight Championship. And I have encountered both these men before, Nicholas Crenson on multiple occasions.
Absolutely. And let me ask you a follow-up question on that, because obviously, conversely, we've talked about Crenson and the drought. We've obviously talked about Darkfire, and he's had some stuff, obviously, some problems that he's overcome to obviously improve himself, no question, and much credit to Darkfire on that. But, you've been a champion before. You've held this title. You've done some big things with it. You certainly with a measuring stick in WC. And sometimes in sports and even in wrestling, we see this. Wrestlers are comfortable as champions. There are some wrestlers that when they get into the big stage, they can't grasp and kind of hold that measuring stick or that scrutiny. But you seem to be comfortable in being a champion. You do well in these big matches. Do you kind of feel like for you that you're totally in your element and really comfortable in these types of situations?
Yeah, I'm somewhat comfortable in some situations, but when it comes to facing someone like Crenson or Kodak Kid or someone that's a big threat, it puts some doubts in me, but I try my best to overcome it.
Well, why is there doubts? Why do you feel doubts here in a situation like this?
Because do my do I have enough in my gas tank to actually hold on to this belt? And I just like that fire in my chest and pull out the W.
Well, we'll certainly have to find out here. And if you are watching this live on different Sportswire radio platforms, please give a follow and like to Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat on Facebook. Also, WCEHeat.com. Also, YouTube Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And we are here joined by 2/3 of the participants who will compete for the Interstate Openweight Championship at Wrestling Championship Entertainment's Luck of the Draw. That is Catalyst and the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. And you know my name by now. That is the Reverend Tom Bryce, the host and the owner of Sportswire Radio. And apparently somebody loves the purple mask. That is Lacey Jean. A big shout out to Lacey Jean. Certainly somebody might know who that is. And Skulls says here, some are a flop. You know, I'm going to come back to your match in a second, but I want to ask your guys' perspectives on this. And I want to go to Catalyst first, then I'll go to Nicholas Crenson because he's obviously a little more familiar with Skulls here. Certainly Skulls has made a little bit of a name for himself. We saw him and Craven Rage go back and forth last week on the air. I mean, Catalyst, what is your impressions of Skulls here? The Soul Hunter obviously collects souls out of the EWF in California, wants to make his way here to WCE in the summer here. I mean, what do you make of Skulls and just any other impressions you have on this individual, or if he's an individual?
He does seem intimidating.
Really? So you're intimidated by him?
But is there some bites behind all that bark, or where that expression is?
That's interesting. That's a point that some other wrestlers in the locker room have said. So do you think then, no matter what side you might be on in the WCE locker room, that is a fair statement, that wrestlers are kind of figuring out, is Skulls who he says he is, or is it maybe just all smoke, no mirrors?
We'll just have to wait and see what he brings to the table.
All right, fair enough here. I want to give a shout out to a couple of ladies that are watching this. That is also Christine Furco, does some work for the New York Football Giants, does some writing for them. Also, the lovely Anastasia Riznia, all the way out there from the state of California, San Diego State Aztecs alum. Want to give her a congratulations as the Aztecs are in the Final Four for the first time in the school's history out of the Mountain West Conference. So certainly want to give her a big shout out. Also, some more comments. Wednesday's guest here, the lawman Kyle Kennedy, says, my man, certainly love the lawman Kyle Kennedy. He was up at 4:17 a.m. British Standard Time watching us. Huge shout out to, of course, 1/4 of the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champions. That is from the Society, the lawman Kyle Kennedy. I'm proud to have his shirt. Skull says he's listening. Listening to, I don't know. Adonis Felio says, just days away from Luck of the Draw, dead or alive. And Adonis will be a big part of that. I'll get to that. But, you know, Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, you've certainly seen Skulls. You've gotten a first-hand look at him. I mean, is it all bark and no bite? I mean, as time goes on, impressions about Skulls?
Catus kind of hit the nail on the head. I see more bark than bite. Honestly, until I meet him in the ring, until I'm in the ring with him, I'm not going to take him seriously, because you can talk yourself up all you want. You can build yourself up as this big threat until you step into the ring with me, with Catalyst, with Craven. You ain't Jack.
Ooh, you know, that's for the first time tonight. I think we've seen some pushback when it comes to Skulls. Skulls we've seen here on prior shows. He's this big bad skull collector, and he's coming for Craven Rage. But I'm going to ask you guys both this question before I come back to obviously your big match. Do you think that, let's say deep down, the locker room is united and that this guy's an outsider? He's come in here, wants to make a name off you guys. You guys have matches out there with thousands of views on YouTube. You guys have this world-renowned following, respected by so many different places, and that this guy wants to come in here, this outsider, and he wants to make a name off you guys. And deep down, everybody in the locker room, doesn't matter who you are, might be united and saying, you know what? I don't necessarily know if I like this guy, and I want him to make a name off all of us.
How do I say this? Like I said, it's until he gets in the ring that I'll take him seriously. Maybe when he gets in the ring with us, he will, show something amazing. Maybe he will take WCE by storm, or maybe he'll pull a JDT and tuck his tail and run away.
And you know what? That's an interesting point here, and I'm going to come back to that in a second. But Skull says, update Kyle, a.k.a. Lightning Kid, is doing a little bit better. He's breathing better, yes, because obviously that was Skull's trainer in a coma here, certainly, I believe, in a motorcycle accident. So I'm glad that he's doing better. Thoughts and prayers, certainly, to the Lightning Kid, Skull's trainer. So we appreciate that he is doing much better. Adonis Felios also says he's the AIW World Champion, making way to WC for Dead or Alive. Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, prepare for championship supremacy. I'm going to ask you guys both on that title for title situation in a few minutes, but there was a point that Nicholas Crenson, to me, Catalyst, just made that was so true to a lot of people in the locker room. That, JDT takes the title from James Marshall. He finally gets his first championship in his long career, and he's the guy that's going to be the challenger to Craven Rage. He's the guy that can finally beat him. He's the guy that's his big bad voodoo daddy, and he's going to bring everybody with him. And then he leaves. He takes his ball and goes home and says, you know what? I couldn't handle it anymore here in WCE. I couldn't cut the mustard. I couldn't run with the rest of the big boys here. Whether it's you, whether it's Crenson, whether it's Jovi, whether it's Darkfire, whether it's the new Messiahs, anybody else you can name, Craven Rage, even people like Kodak Kid, Adonis Felios, name anybody, Tyler Ark. JDT couldn't cut the mustard and run with the rest of you guys. Maybe it was age. Maybe it was fatigue. Father Time. I don't know what it was, but I mean, JDT took his ball and went home. And I mean, Catalyst, you especially, I mean, is that a fair statement?
I'm sure Jason D. Thompson had his reasons to, ditch the belt and leave. Everyone has their own reasons to do what they want to do, but knowing JDT, I think it was for the money.
It's for the money. But it was controversial to be the champion, right? It's a big responsibility. Now, you look at it in wrestling history, right? It doesn't matter who you are. To be the champion of some sort, of a major championship like this is one of the biggest prizes in all of sports. I mean, people from all over the world want to be a champion in WCE. JDT was one of the top guys here and walked away from it. I mean, very few champions in wrestling history do that. We remember those champions. We saw what happened with Bret the Hitman Hart. He was the champion, didn't want to lose. The title was taken off him. And I mean, Nicholas Crenson, some would say that JDT and the way he kind of did WCE, maybe didn't do WCE the right way, and that maybe gives motivation to guys to maybe prove him and others wrong.
That is true, and Catalyst did nail something on the head. JDT follows the money, wherever it goes, and I'm kind of wondering how that's working out for him. But really, it's this whole aspect of you're the champion. You could at least fight the title.
Drop the title to somebody. I would even say give the title to somebody, lay down, do a finger poke of doom, something, right? I would think somebody would want to do something like that. Do the right thing for a company that has given you so much opportunities. The exposure that we've had here, one of the top wrestling companies, not just in the United States, not just in Wisconsin, the Midwest, but all around the world in WCE.
like one thing I like JDT. I want to say because he's reigning in December. I want to say he might be the shortest reign out of all the current out of all the champions we had. It might be also Jonathan Pierce, but Jonathan Pierce was our first champion, and Pierce literally put his body on the line for that belt.
Good point. Good point. Excellent point there. Excellent point. A lot of people at least had respect for that, but certainly when you leave a company hanging like he did to WC, now that's just my opinion, but that's what some saying are all around the wrestling world, maybe in the locker room even, but certainly it was very controversial to say the least. But I've got some comments here. Craven Rage is with us, who may or may not be with us this week. We'll have to see. Stay tuned. Says he's very intrigued in the winner of the Interstate Championship match. So I'm giving you guys both the floor. I mean, what do you want to say toward that? I'll go with you first, Catalyst. I see you looking here, Catalyst. What do you want to say toward that?
Well, you say you have your eyes on the match and who won. You're kind of looking out for who's going to win. Well, that gives me a little motivation because Kevin and I, we have a little bit of unfinished business from season 1. You still got one up on me.
Okay. All right. Good point. Certainly very, very fair points. And we'd like to see how that all works out. And, I mean, Nicholas Crenson, you and Craven Rage have certainly had some interesting comments on social media. You know, we haven't done one of these with you and Craven Rage. That would certainly be a rage against the machine. Certainly, and you've had some issues with the machine here in WCE, some would say. I mean, anything you want to say? Because, I mean, you of all people, I think, would want to chop at the bits of Craven Rage. Because think about this for a second, Nicholas Crenson. Let's say you got this championship, win that first championship in 17 years, and all of a sudden, if Craven Rage survives, he's got his own match we'll talk about in a little while. Maybe we could be looking at all of a sudden a 17-year drought goes to being a multiple champion in WC. I mean, what do you want to say to that?
Craven, the golden boy of WCE, management's favorite
and some
wrestler.
Have said that in the locker room. I have heard that in the locker room.
The guy who cannot not do wrong. Here's something I want to say, and you know, I think me and Catalyst can kind of agree on this. We have, you know, we're gonna have one championship showcase match at Dead or Alive with the AIW champion Adonis Velios versus, if he retains at Look at the Draw, the RCW champion Sean Jovi. So, Catalyst, I think we can see eye on eye on this, and we both can kind of appease Mark Packer for this. Yeah, Mark Packer. I'm gonna say this. Why don't we make another championship showcase match at Dead or Alive? Why don't we have the all-out champion face the interstate champion one-on-one? What do you say? You think that would work for you, Catalyst?
You think Mark Packer's listening out there? I mean, that'd be interesting. He's got to be somewhere, right?
He's always listening. He's commissioner. Yeah, agree with me on that.
That's true. That's an excellent point. He's out there. He's certainly doing something out there, whether it's snow removal, whether it's Packers NFL draft preparations, whether it's who knows what. He's certainly out there.
Getting black, drunk, and winding up in Minnesota.
Last year, yeah, that happened.
All right. Well, I mean, okay, fair enough. I got some comments here. Skulls calls Craven Rage the Golden Girl here. Okay, I got that. Certainly, Craven Rage and Skulls definitely going to be talking for a while, but you know, I do want to talk about the fact that we're going to see a RONUS Championship wrestling champion in Sean Jovi, the resident rock star, should he retain it, Luck of the Draw, against the AIW World Champion, the Drip King, Adonis Velios. And, I mean, Catalyst, I mean, you're watching from afar, I know. You're watching all these matches. You're obviously scouting. I mean, how big is this for WC that we're going to see two champions from two different companies wrestle here in WC? I mean, it's very rare in professional wrestling that you see two world champions from two completely different companies wrestle in another company and defend their championships. I mean, this is a really, really big deal, and I think puts WC in an even further spotlight.
yeah, it's a big deal. It might the phrase "put butts in the seats." It makes the eyes go to the screen, and it's kind of like our forbidden door or forbidden garage door if it's because in the backyard. But yeah, it's actually a pretty big deal, and I'm actually can't wait to watch this match unfold.
Me too. I'm definitely looking forward to this. Obviously, Adonis Felios has talked quite a bit in the offseason. Sean Jovi's obviously got a lot to prove. A lot of people could have felt, and we'll get to it, about him being in the Interstate Openweight Championship, where he would have been. But certainly a match a lot of people are watching. And, I mean, Nicholas Crenson, what do you make of this here? We see it here. The Forbidden Door has been open. It's been wide open. And we're going to see the RCW title and the AIW title here in WCE. I mean, three completely different companies. And I mean, what's your impression on that? I know you're watching this and everything else here from afar.
So this will actually be, say Jovi does retain at look of the draw. Right now, we don't know who his opponent is. So really, when you don't know the opponent, you kind of favor the champion in it sometimes. But really, what it is this match has happened already. We've seen this match in WCE, and I got to see it up close and personal. And one thing about this match is it was a barn burner. Both men are big, heavy hitting guys, but at the end of the day, Jovi won. Jovi beat Adonis Felios. Now, for this match, yeah, they're both champions, but really, Adonis, the Drip King, has something to prove more so than Jovi does. Because Jovi, I'll say this, he's done everything to prove
he's a legend.
Himself.
He is a legend, Jovi. Jovi, what he's done in this business, what he's done, whether it's in Rona's Championship Wrestling, WCE, all throughout the Midwest, Jovi has nothing to prove. I mean, if we had a Hall of Fame, Jovi's one of the first people going in. We all agree on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Jovi is coming up on, I want to say, 17 years in August. He's just a few years behind me, and he is, he's done RCW, he's done ICW.
Yes,
he's wrestled all over the Midwest in the past 17 years. And the one thing, I can disagree with him as in certain aspects. I can disagree with, even Darkfire and everybody in certain aspects. But the one thing I can give every one of them, especially Jovi, is the fact that he has heart. He puts everything into his matches, everything into his presentation. He is somebody who, at the end of the day, if you're going to, one, build a company around, but two, somebody you want to put money on to win a fight, it's Sean Jovi.
Absolutely. No, listen, I mean, what Jovi has done, in a lot of ways, he's kind of like what Tommy Dreamer was to ECW. He's the heart and soul of any company he works in. In some ways, he's kind of our John Bon Jovi of the Midwest wrestling scene. That's obvious why they call him Sean Jovi here. And a couple of different comments here. Skull says, winner take all. We'll certainly find out. Casey Jack Bradley, young trainee from the UK, up late, always one of our biggest supporters, says, good morning. Adonis Felios, in the first of two comments, says, my money, KATALYST, new interstate champion. We'll get to that in a second. Tyler Ark says, I want KATALYST, the new interstate openweight champion. We'll certainly find out, but I think it's so fascinating to summarize real quick. It reminds me almost what we're going to see with Felios and Jovi of when we saw for the ECW championship. Technically, we had a WCW wrestler at the time, Mike Awesome, holding the title against a WWF wrestler in Taz. And we saw that in an ECW ring. That's the only time, I believe, in the history of professional wrestling during the Monday Night Wars, or really any company, you had basically in a ring 3 different companies actually represented, which was obviously famously with Taz, Mike Awesome for that ECW title and all different companies there. So it kind of is almost what we're seeing here in Wrestling Championship Entertainment. But I mean, Catalyst, how does this make you feel that the money and the rooting interest is with you right now to, in some ways, as some may say, reclaim this championship?
Well, I feel pretty flattered from people betting their money on me and wish me a best of luck and all that. Hoo-ha. Just flattered. But
Huh.
is it true flattery or just all facade? Especially come from someone like Tyler Ark,
Tyler who? Some might say. Some might say Tyler who. I mean, that's just kind of,
Tyler who?
People might say that, certainly that's always the case.
Yeah, he's got a lot of proof too this coming season, Tyler Ark.
Yeah, he's certainly got to. He's got to certainly figure out if he's got some heart. I mean, but Nicholas Crenson, conversely, does this play into your mind? We've seen obviously the fight that you've had, this legal fight with Mark Packer in the WCE machine. We've seen the sticker up here with Vector. We've seen now Zero Deus. We've seen people now that are starting to maybe crystallize, maybe sympathize with this fight that you've had. But when you see these comments from fellow wrestlers, does it fuel you in the legal fight? Is it jealousy? Is it playing into your hands? How do you take this?
A grain of salt, reference.
Really? Why do you say that for?
Because here's the thing. If I worried about what everybody thinks, I wouldn't get anything done. And here's the thing. Tyler Ark, wants to present himself as this, big, bad, tough guy. Adonis wants to present himself as the strip king. Here's the thing that everybody has to kind of understand about being a champion. The belt themselves have no meaning. What gives a championship meaning is the work you put into it. It's the work that people like me, people like Catalyst, people like Jovi, people like Craven, people like Darkfire put into making the championship mean something. At the end of the day, the championship on its own is just a championship. It's just a prop. It's the heart, the soul, as you put in. It's the blood, the sweat, the tears that we put into making it mean something. So, Tyler Ark, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice. And I've said this earlier. One, get out of your own head. And two, stop being afraid. Because this year, gloves come off. It's business this year, and we are all trying to make it mean something.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, it ain't going to be no fun and games because you are going to be going to the jungle because it seems like an appetite for destruction is going to be coming to Wrestling Championship Entertainment with Luck of the Draw coming up here in Dead or Alive. And two of those reasons why we're going to see that appetite for destruction, it's going to be not using your illusion because it's going to be the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, and Catalyst, James Marshall, two of the three participants squaring off for the vacant Interstate Openweight Championship. And my name, you know by now, is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm the owner and the host of the Sports Report, Sportswire Radio. If you like what you hear from us, continue to give us a like and follow on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/player. And also, if you're on YouTube, also make sure to follow us. And I'll be back here coming up a couple of different times here this week. Tuesday with pro wrestling star Philip Michael, who we've seen in a number of different places, PCW, Bolton Town Wrestling. Really excited for Philip Michael for the first time in the aforementioned Lawman Kyle Kennedy Wednesday night, probably around 8:15, 8:30. So looking forward to all that here. And again, please follow our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment, WCE Heat on Facebook, WCEHeat.com. Also, Wrestling Championship Entertainment. on YouTube, where you can see legendary wars like James Marshall and Nicholas Crenson, Darkfire and Craven Rage, Kodak Kid and Craven Rage, a who's who of stars that are a part of Wrestling Championship Entertainment, and we are certainly looking forward to Luck of the Draw coming up here. And we are here on Sportswire Radio with Catalyst and the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. And Tyler Lark says, I am working hard at WCE Luck of the Draw. Well, you're going to have to work hard and maybe even harder, especially after what Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, had to say. But Craven Rage certainly has a Rage Against the Machine-like comment, and let's read it off here for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio. Well, if Mark Packer and management does approve another champion versus champion match, I would love to face the new Messiah because I truly think Nicholas Crenson will break his losing streak like the Undertaker's streak ended. Boy, kind of in the reverse, though. I mean, the Undertaker had the streak where, he was basically over 20-plus years without losing at WrestleMania. Nicholas Crenson's, well, it's not the Brooklyn Brawler. It's not Barry Horowitz. It's certainly in a different territory. But if it's Catalyst, then he better bring out James Marshall because I'm the most dominant man in this business, and I'm calling with the news. You know what? I'm not going to talk about Nicholas Crenson in his drought for a second. I'm going to ask you guys this question because obviously it was announced that Craven Rage has his own match coming up at WCE's Luck of the Draw. And I'm going to ask you guys this question. I mean, how much longer do you think that Craven Rage will keep the All-Out title? Because clearly Skulls has been going for him. Clearly Kodak Kid, who's not ready yet to return, has said things about him. And everybody and their mother has said something about Craven Rage. I mean, do you guys even expect Craven Rage to keep the title after next month's show?
That's kind of a tough one. I'm kind of waiting to see because what this Killer Rabbit that's coming to challenge him has to bring. And honestly, right now, until we see Killer Rabbit, it's kind of a who's who of, what are we going to get from him? Craven has, and as much as I want to say it, hate to say it, but Craven has been dominant. And the main reason why is I think a lot of people, and myself included, have underestimated him. We've underestimated him. And honestly, the person I would automatically put money on to be able to take the title off of him right now is injured.
Yep. That's the man a lot of people right now have pinned their hopes on is quote unquote, maybe he's the savior. Maybe he's the guy. I don't know that to be accurate, but I mean, Catalyst, do you even think that Craven Rage is going to hang on to this title much longer? Because for the first time, we've kind of seen people are starting to get fed up with Craven Rage, and they're gunning for him. And we've even seen this guy Skulls, who nobody heard of, nobody knew, and he's laid his eyes on Craven Rage.
I have to agree with Crenson on the fact that he has been dominant the past 2 seasons. Well, except for Firefight 1, where he lost the belts. But besides that point, if I didn't have the Interstate Openweight title picture on my lap right now, I'd be gunning for Craven Rage.
Interesting. Okay, well, Captain Obvious, Adonis Velios, the Luck of the Draw here. And I'm not trying to be facetious, but Captain Obvious here says, come, Luck of the Draw, dead or alive, some will rise, some will fall. Well, duh, right? Because there's always winners and losers in wrestling, right? So, duh. That's obviously a good one there, but, that's always a good one, right? But, Nicholas Crenson, we see this Vector logo here again. How much of a role is this going to play coming into the match here with this whole Vector thing here that you've got going on?
Let's just call Vector an insurance policy, but mostly what Vector is 3 guys who are just going to do what we want, whatever we want to, and take over WCE. Because honestly, the whole like legal stuff that I had Linda take care of for me for Mark Packer, that was just kind of a little fun and games and something to keep Mr. Packer entertained during the off season. The real crux of everything Vector is going to come to fruition throughout this season, because Ciro is making his debut at Look of the Draw, and I have no doubt that he will impress and do whatever it takes to pull out a victory. We've got our lovely financial backer and manager in Dirty Dead Skin, and then you've got me, the new Messiah. I am planning on winning the Interstate Openweight Championship. And you know what the fun thing about a 3 triple threat match is there's no rules in triple threats.
That might be so, but I could also remind you that Darkfire and Catalyst could work to eliminate you, because they know that you could have Vector certainly lurking. And I want to go to you, Catalyst, on that. I mean, is that a concern of yours, that there could be some outside presence that could maybe take away your potential at maybe reclaiming, as some would say, that interstate openweight championship?
Well, typical Crenson, you always gotta have some sort of trick up your sleeve. So I might have to think of something to get around that insurance policy you got with you.
Yeah, and good luck trying to get management to ban Vector from ringside, because I did put a little provision in the contracts thanks to Linda.
Ooh.
And Mark Packer, for certain matches, he's actually not going to be able to ban anybody.
Really? So it seems as if your legal team was prepared for the fact that Packer and management could actually decide to say, we want to ban Vector from ringside. So certainly you prepared this provision then for the legal terms, huh?
Yes, and it's...
Now, don't tell us here on Sportswire. Don't tell us.
I'll just say I didn't... Linda told me we can't go overboard with this provision. It's basically... It's a certain situations type thing, and we decided to use it for this match.
Interesting. We'll have to stay tuned, and of course, follow Wrestling Championship Entertainment on Facebook, YouTube, and WCEHeat.com for more information. And also, gotta give a shout out to the boys for the shirt here, WCE. Make sure you get your own here, and you can do that by going to the WCE Heat page on the website and go out and buy some merchandise and support this great company and this great locker room. And Casey Jack Bradley seems to agree. Well, it seems this live stream is becoming more fun. Craven has a lot of work on his hands, and so does Crenson. I love wrestling, and Catalyst also. Skull says apparently that Nicholas Crenson has a life insurance policy. Is it life insurance, really? Is it a life insurance policy that you took out here? Is that fair to say? Life insurance policies, I hear, are expensive these days, though.
That is true.
And Adonis Felio says, big props to WC with the new merchandise, of course. Certainly got to get your hands on one of those also, but we'll have to find out here, to say the least. So I want to ask you guys both this same question, and then I'm going to ask you guys a few other questions before we get to closing to us. Obviously, want to be respectful of your times. Obviously, we're getting ready for training. We're getting ready for more press. Obviously, getting ready for the show and everything else. Obviously, this is the biggest show of the year. Forget about WrestleMania 39. Forget about the Hall of Fame ceremonies. This is the show that everybody is circled on their calendars to want to see. But I want to ask you guys both this question. I want to go with Catalyst first. Catalyst, what would it mean to you, again, to be the Interstate Openweight Champion?
Good question.
That's why we ask them.
Yeah. If I win the title again, I'm going to try to go as farther from what I did last season. Might hold for the rest of the season. rather just lose it at the last show of the season. Because that's pretty damn important to me.
Okay, all right. Well, very modest, very humble. I think we all can respect that. But Nicholas Crenson, I am so intrigued to hear what you have to say of all people because you are certainly the topic. In fact, we even talked about the drought, the streak, as some might want to call it, and even other Sportswire radio shows with other wrestlers, our regular American sports show. I think I even quoted you as into comparison to the Sacramento Kings playoff drought in the NBA. But you of all people, this has got to mean more than to anybody else that could win this championship or any other championship right now in all of professional wrestling. I would even dare say in all of professional sports. But what would it mean to you at luck of the draw to win that interstate openweight championship?
It means all the work, all the planning, everything has been worth it, but also it means something a little bit more than that. It means that I have, another shot at Craven if Mark Packer just decided to do that champion versus champion match at Dead or Alive. But it also means I'm the man standing in the way of Sean Jovi winning a title outside of his own promotion, outside of RCW. Because here's the thing, whoever wins the interstate championship, at some point we have to deal with Jovi because he does have that ring check of an interstate openweight championship match, and I'm kind of hoping that I have all the right tools to take that title, and I do think I do. I know I do, because I kind of owe Jovi for the 2 L's that he's handed me in the past couple seasons in WCE.
Well, you definitely owe a couple of people some different L's that you've been given to kind of return the favor, and we'll certainly have to find out. Skull says he needs a WCE shirt. Now, I think management or Mark Packer, if they're listening, maybe can hook Skulls up, and maybe we'll see what we can do about that. Casey Jack Bradley is certainly a genius because he says this WCE show will be bigger than WrestleMania because I'm sure everybody will be studying WrestleMania to get ideas. That's why you're going to be studying Wrestling Championship Entertainment's Luck of the Draw and Dead or Alive to get ideas, because these are going to be the 2 shows that everybody in the professional wrestling world is going to be looking to see what they can do to go forward to either emulate or top. Forget about WrestleMania 39. Forget about even MLB opening day this week. It's all going to be about opening day for Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I want to ask you guys this question before I get a chance to ask you guys each other a question. And I want to go with Catalyst first. And is there anything else that you're watching here on the card for WCE's Luck of the Draw and Dead or Alive that you think our audience should know about, that you're curious on?
Well, I'm kind of curious on how Zero will do against Jay Stereo.
That's a good one. A lot of people are curious about that. We saw Zero's debut here, and he certainly made his presence felt. He certainly seems like somebody is going to keep an eye on him and have a vested interest. And I know Nicholas Crenson was very proud at Zero's performance, his debut on Sportswire Radio. Certainly a lot of people certainly were very impressed with him. He certainly has a future here on upcoming Sportswire Radio shows, undoubtedly. I mean, that means Nicholas Crenson, I'm sure that's going to be the answer to your question. You're going to be looking forward to, most other than your match, Zero's debut here coming up in WCE.
That is true. I am going to be looking forward to see how Zero does in that match, against Jay Stereo. But there's another match that I'm kind of keeping an eye on because I have a suspicion we're going to see it at Dead or Alive. The Golden Ticket.
Good point. That's a good one.
Mostly because I want to see whoever comes up with the Golden Ticket, what they will do this season.
You have any thoughts?
Well, I'm hoping they will learn from past mistakes of One Dash Andrews and take advantage to that anytime, anywhere stipulation.
You have a follow up to that Catalyst on the golden ticket? You have anything you're watching there on that as well?
Pretty much what Crenson just said. Take advantage of anytime, anywhere, and don't leave your opponent expecting.
All right, well, we'll have to find out here. Certainly a very, very packed card, and we will undoubtedly have coverage for sure when it comes to Wrestling Championship Entertainment. I still, unfortunately, don't know when, but we were looking forward to having more coverage here. We'll see how things play out, and stay tuned for an announcement in the next 24 to 48 hours regarding further Wrestling Championship Entertainment coverage on Sportswire Radio. So, we've asked a lot to you guys tonight on Sportswire Radio. Some of the comments have certainly been steady, and they've certainly been active and explosive as they always are. But before I get to that, I actually do have somebody that's tuned in here, and he's here. That is the third participant in the upcoming match for the Interstate Openweight Championship, and that is Darkfire. And what do you want to say to Darkfire? Because obviously he's here now live. And before I ask you guys something else before closing thoughts, what do you want to say to Darkfire? And I'll go with Catalyst first.
Darkfire, all I gotta say is you better bring your A game because either me or Crenson will take it easy on you. And if you're in our way, because me and Crenson, you'll just be in a crossfire.
All right. Stevie Ray Vaughan famously sang that. Will Darkfire feel that? Some of those vocals and some of those guitar riffs in the ring? I have to say, stay tuned to find out. Nicholas Crenson, I am so curious what you have to say toward Darkfire. You and him have certainly been the topic of many discussions, certainly the machine, management, plus much, much more here on Sportswire Radio these past several months. So, what do you want to say to Darkfire now that he's here live with us?
Darkfire, enjoy your, I'm not going to say 15 minutes, enjoy your 15 seconds of fame, because really when it comes to this match, you're the afterthought. You're the afterthought of this match. And I'll agree with Catalyst, stay out of our way, because at the end of the day, you're just there because Mark Packer felt bad for you.
Yes, but whoa, wait a second. And I love you, Nicholas Crenson. You know I'm a big fan of your work, but he is a part of arguably the biggest match in WC history, some would say, in terms of the viewership and exposure. I mean, his match with Craven Rage opened up doors to this company that I would argue that only a handful of other companies might have. GCW, Impact, MLW, the NWA, AEW, and certainly WWE. I mean, it's the God's honest truth here. That match opened up a lot of doors here. I mean, that's some strong comments you had to say there.
How do I say this? Best way to put it, even the Houston Texans can win a game every now and then. Even somebody like a Johnny Ace can put on a 5-star performance. At the end of the day, Darkfire, he does have the heart and everything, but he does not have what it takes to be the champion.
Certainly strong words. And Darkfire especially says, do not underestimate me, Catalyst. What do you say to that?
We'll see, Darkfire. We'll see.
Okay, well, you know what? Certainly, Catalyst is always a man of many words, and he certainly showed it there just now. And Skull says, he the Afterburn. Boy, Skull. I think Skulls is basically calling out Darkfire, also calling him the Afterburn. So certainly we'll have to find out. And undoubtedly, this is another reason why you have to tune in to Wrestling Championship Entertainment on YouTube at WCE Heat, Facebook at WCE Heat, and WCEHeat.com for much, much more on one of the number one companies around. Because like I said, that match, before we get to some final thoughts here, that match with Craven Rage and Darkfire, you could certainly argue opened up doors to this company that put us on the major scale. It put us up there with the likes of Impact, the likes of the NWA, MLW, GCW, and Ring of Honor, Pro Wrestling Magic, you name them all. It put us open there. And Darkfire says, Nicholas Crenson and Catalyst, you both will fall, and I will be victorious. Just you watch. Well, what else is he going to say, guys, right? He's going to win, obviously. What is he going to say? I'm going to lose? I mean, so that's kind of Captain Obvious, you think? That's kind of Captain Obvious comments, right, gentlemen?
See, I'm actually happy to hear him responding like this, because that means he's taking what we're saying to heart. Because Darkfire, you want to even stand a chance in this, you gotta not rest on your laurels. You've gotta be willing to fight, because at the end of the day, you are stepping into the ring with two of the best technicians in WCE, two of the hardest hitting wrestlers in WCE, and by the end of the day, you are stepping in with the two measuring sticks of WCE. So, Darkfire, take what we say to heart, because we don't want a Darkfire who's all chill and relaxed and, oh, you dropped your pockets. No, we want a Darkfire who is going to give us a fight.
Can I ask you a follow-up very quickly, Nicholas Crenson, before I get a chance to have you guys both ask a question to each other? Is this similar to how in some ways some feel that James Marshall is responsible for this new Nicholas Crenson, in some ways that over the past few months, maybe a change in tone of Darkfire is in a kind of convoluted way Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, is responsible for? Is that a fair comment to make? Well, Nicholas Crenson, I guess you froze there, Nicholas Crenson.
Oh, am I still here?
Yeah, you're here, Nicholas Crenson. I guess you were kind of figured out, maybe you were dazed and confused, because I had pointed out here that I guess there's a third wall there almost, kind of that Saved by the Bell Zach Morris point, but almost in a way, some would say James Marshall was responsible for the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. Maybe after Darkfire's comments tonight, some in a way could say that Nicholas Crenson over the past several months is responsible for this change in vocabulary of Darkfire.
You could probably say that, because, my mission statement has always been the same. You can love me, you can hate me. I'm here to help. I'm here to help people. And I'm here, one, to help myself right now, because I have to help other people, but I want to see people be true to themselves. So if it means, assaulting him, belittling him, knocking him out with a pipe, choking him out, to get him to take this seriously, then good. Look what happened to. Look at what happened with Catalyst James Marshall after we first started doing this. I brought out a monster in him that was necessary for him to find what he needed to be a champion. And hopefully he still has it, because like I said, I'm going to do everything it takes to become Interstate Openweight champion. And I know, Catalyst, that you're going to do everything it takes to be Interstate Openweight champion. And hopefully we've lit the fuse for Darkfire to give it his all as well, because we're the measuring sticks and we're the ones who are going to make everybody pay attention to WCE.
We'll certainly find out. Obviously, we have seen a lot of back and forth tonight here, and another reason why we are excited about this triple threat elimination match for the Interstate Openweight Championship, which is now vacant. We will see Darkfire, Nicholas Crenson, and Catalyst. I've got a ton of comments here, surprisingly, so let's keep them coming. Darkfire, the Kane of WCE, and his fire burns. If you've been following Nicholas Crenson, that's kind of what he's alleged these past several months. Darkfire, Hearts on Fire, Dragonheart, Burning Heart. He will bring it all in fairness. I'm looking forward to seeing this. I am now interested in WC. All I have to do is find where to watch it. I'm going to solve that for you very easily. YouTube Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat. Facebook, follow them and like their page. Wrestling Championship Entertainment at WCE Heat and WCEHeat.com for more information on one of the top companies around, and that is Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Let your hearts not be troubled, Casey Jack Bradley. This is where you can find out all about your favorite stars in WCE, plus much, much more. So that's where you go. You find it on those pages, and you go comment, like, often share, and support our friends over at WCE. Craven Rage has always got something to say. Darkfire has the fire and passion. He's even a former RCW champion. Catalyst is also a former interstate champion, even though the only one I see that is not a threat is a same-old loser. Nicholas Crenson, who can't even win a prayer. Wow. Craven Rage earlier went from going with Nicholas Crenson to basically calling him a same-old loser, putting him in the same category as the Buffalo Bills in the 1990s, who kept going to the Super Bowl and kept losing. He's comparing him almost to the likes of, let's say, Lex Luger, when he couldn't win the big one, couldn't win the World Heavyweight title. I mean, you can go down, up and down the list. The New York Jets, who have one of the longest playoff droughts in all of sports. The Sacramento Kings, he's comparing him to. Who knows who else? I mean, you can go the Cleveland Indians. They haven't won a World Series since, what, 1948? I mean, we're going down the list. That's what Craven Rage is saying. Not my comments, Nicholas Crenson, but that's what Craven Rage is saying. But I'm going to say this to defend you, Nicholas Crenson. Craven Rage has a hell of a lot more problems than call you a same-old loser, because he's got everybody and their mother right now gunning for him. He even had young nobodies, young trainees, young other wrestlers we never heard of that are coming after him in WCE. So wrestlers that couldn't even put a sentence together want to come after Craven Rage. So Nicholas Crenson, don't you worry about that. Craven Ray's got plenty of problems, and I think Killer Robert's going to also add further to his problems coming up here at Luck of the Draw. But you know what? We're coming up to an end here on Closing Thoughts, and I want to give you wrestlers here the opportunity to speak and ask a question. And I'm going to go with you, Catalyst, first. And what do you want to say is your final thoughts, or to Nicholas Crenson? Anything that you want to say to him before next month's show at Luck of the Draw?
Are you sure you're ready for another round of punishments?
How long have we been doing this old song and dance, Catalyst? Since
Too long.
What was it? Sawdust Days 2012, was it?
Yeah, 2012.
Yeah. So we've been doing this for about almost 11 years now, and it's never going to get old. I'm just going to ask you this one simple question. Are you able to dig down deep enough to find that little piece of the monster you need to get the job done?
I'm very confident that I don't need Chase Marshall in this match. I'm keeping him locked up inside.
All right.
Well, we will see how well you can keep that locked away, but eventually, you're gonna have to release him at some point.
I'll tell you what, Catalyst, I will say before you say, Catalyst has been keeping things close to the vest, Nicholas Crenson, tonight before you go finish.
And one last thing, I want to say to a Mr. Rage, um, how's your head? Because I have fought you before, and I know your weakest point. As much as you love to talk, your weakness is your head. And guess what? You're talking to somebody who is willing to target every weakness possible on somebody. So eventually me and you are going to cross paths, and I'm going to beat you down like the dog you are.
Well, there was a song once called Treat Me Like the Dog I Am. We'll see if that's going to be the case here when it comes to Nicholas Crenson, KATALYST, Darkfire, who knows, who else. Certainly Craven Ray's got plenty of problems, and I'm only imagining to see who else will be added to that list. I know Killer Rabbit is going to be one of those, so we'll have to find out more. And Casey Jack Bradley says he's just subscribed, looks forward to watching. Amen, Casey Jack Bradley. Casey Jack Bradley, big shout out to him because he's also an up and coming star from GT Ministries. I want to give a follow to GT Ministries for everybody at GT Ministries UK on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. They have another show coming up here on April the 8th. So certainly while you're watching Luck of the Draw, follow GT Ministries on YouTube. Skull says 99 problem, but a B is not one. And I think he's talking about Craven Rage. So certainly Mr. Rage has his problems. We'll have to find out further what they are. Darkfire says here, may God have mercy on both your souls at Luck of the Draw, gentlemen. Well, certainly we'll find out, Darkfire. You're going to be one of those participants that we're all going to be finding out here. And Casey says, thank you. I'm Daniel Banner, Cosplay Kid. Pleasure to meet everybody. Absolutely, Daniel Banner. We know you very well. Also, we've seen you in the past from Nonstop Action Wrestling. So certainly Daniel Banner is getting his name out there, just like Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, and KATALYST are. So, gentlemen, I want to give you guys both the floor now. Obviously, I want to give you guys any closing thoughts, anything else you might want to share to anybody else watching, listening, fans, you name them. KATALYST, I'm going with you first. Anything else you want to plug, share, say, or anything to anybody watching this or listening or fans of WCE? The floor is yours, my friend. Fire away.
I want to say thank you, everyone, WCE fans, for supporting us during the off season because it's getting to be I'm getting a little shut in here because it's been a long off season, and it might be even longer because of the damn snowstorm. Snow.
F winter, F winter, F snow, F.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're a family station, so I'll say it in a nice way. F you, winter. F you, snow, for what you're doing to us here in the Midwest. It is absolutely outrageous. If I could, gentlemen, I would take our weather here in New York, which is right now beautiful. Well, not beautiful tomorrow, but at least what we had today, 60 degrees, and try to bottle it over to Appleton, Wisconsin, because it's going to likely be an abomination if we're going to have to wait another week. But stay tuned. Let your hearts not be troubled. Eventually, we'll get there. So obviously, big shout-outs to everybody here when it comes to Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah, I'm giving you the floor now. Anything you want to share, anything you want to say, whether it's to fans, whether it's to management, WCE, in the locker room, the audience, you name them, you say it. Floor is yours. You know the drill.
To all the people out there that continue to support us, I as much as of a D-bag that I am, I want to say thank all of you. To management, mostly Mark Packer, I am not gonna stop having fun messing with you because it's just fun. KATALYST, Darkfire, boys, be ready because we are going to war, and we are going to prove why WCE is some of the best wrestling on the planet. And at the end of the day, this season, I am winning gold. I am going to be a champion, and I'm going to do everything in my power to become a champion again. So, KATALYST, Darkfire, here's to you, boys. See you at Luck of the Draw, and let's get ready to kill each other.
As what one wrestling company used to famously say, WCE is where the big boys play. And the big boys are going to eventually come out later this month in April for Luck of the Draw and Dead or Alive. And two of those participants who are going to be in the ring for that Interstate Openweight Championship that is KATALYST and the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson. And before we get out of here, Adonis Felio says, thanks, Tom. Still number one in all of pro wrestling, worldwide sports. You know, we are number one, by the way. And I would add, we have almost 600 followers. We've been heard in many countries. We cover professional wrestling all around, not just the United States, but across the world. And we even cover college basketball because we have college basketball coverage coming up Tuesday night, which I really forgot to mention. I'm going to get killed if I didn't mention it. We're going to have on basketball star from St. Joseph's, Long Island, the Golden Eagles, Matt Hurt, Money Matt Hurt. So certainly thank you, Adonis, for the kind words. And till next time, Sportswire, amen. And certainly everybody here on Sportswire Radio, I thank you for tuning in. And gentlemen, I'm looking forward to watching the show. You know I'm going to be covering it. You know we're going to be talking about it. And I can't wait to see whoever walks away with this championship. And can't wait till the next one. It's been a lot of fun as always. And let's pray that Mother Nature eventually gets it right and we can talk about this show. Because I feel like, gentlemen, to be honest, kind of to break kayfabe here in the third wall, I've been talking about the season, it feels like, for 20 years already. So let's get out there. All right, gentlemen. All right. Well, certainly, I think we're all kind of tongue-tied and twisted at this point because it's also getting late. But thank you, everybody here. If you are on sportnarium.com/player, you will go back to your regularly scheduled program in a little while. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I'll be back, as I just alluded to, Tuesday night, 8:30, with St. Joseph's, Long Island, Golden Eagles men's basketball coverage with Matt Hurt and the Brute Force Brad Weiss and myself. We're going to recap the season, the teams that were, and everything else in the Skyline Conference with the legendary Money Matt Hurt, one of the greatest three-point shooters in school history. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I want to thank one more time Wrestling Championship Entertainment Management for granting us this opportunity. I want to thank Christine Furco, Anastasia Riznia, Lacey Jean. Big shout out to Lacey Jean out there. Big fan of somebody's out there. And I want to thank, obviously, most importantly, KATALYST and Nicholas Crenson, the new Messiah. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, on the number one global radio station. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. Thank you, everybody here. Until next time on Sportswire Radio. Good night, everybody.